All right, we are live. Hey,
Hello,
everybody.
hello.
Hello. I want to welcome a wonderful friend of mine, and we're going to hang out real soon. Nancy Antenucci, or known as Nooch.
Yeah.
Welcome so much.
Hi,
How are you
Jenna.
today?
We're gonna have a good time.
We're going to have a real good time. So, we wanted to jump on today to talk a little bit about the North Star Tarot Conference, which is going to be happening in a few weeks, and why you probably want to come and
That's
all
right.
the cool goodies that are going to happen. So, how are you doing today, Nooch?
I'm do- well, it's a tech is really hard today. I just
Mm.
sometimes it's smooth and goes real well, and other times it's like something I thought I could do in 10 minutes. It takes 45 because thank God for my young son.
No, like when does Mercury go direct? Because this is making me crazy right
I
now.
don't even know.
The
I don't even
14th.
know if it's Mercury retrograde. My God.
We
It's
we
a
got the 14th. So thank God Mercury goes direct before the start of the North Star
That's right.
Tarot Conference, which is good.
And also I find out on the 19th, so it's the 19th, 20th, and 21st, and the 19th is a new moon, and there's a lot of really I think it's a new moon in Taurus.
Yes, indeed, you are correct.
So
And
that
then
should be quite
Mars,
lovely.
what is it? Mars moves into Leo opposite of Pluto on the 20th. I have it written
Yeah,
down. So a lot of like that is ooh,
that's some
ooh, 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 ooh. I gotta really think about that.
I know that could be sexy if you ride it well, you know? And if you don't,
Well,
it'll be like under a truck, it's like
hey, Marion, and hey, everyone tuning in live. We're just going to shoot the shit really about the fun we're going to have. I mean, I've come to North Star before a few years ago, and I was like, oh, I really want to come back. My experience of it, I just love those regional, like those community based
yeah,
tarot conferences, because you get to know the local people, and like Minnesotans are so nice and
they are.
friendly and chill. It's just
They
really
they pretty
sweet
much
energy.
and they're great students.
Mm,
They really like to learn,
mm,
and they're hungry and curious, and it's like, "Thank you." That it's just wonderful. This is the 15th year, so we've been doing it for 14 years, and,
oh,
we
wow.
actually there were 4 of us originally, now it's just Melanie and I, but there were 4 of us originally that went to Reader Studio in New York, and we came back, and we were so pumped
Mm,
because I hadn't even ever been to a conference until I went to Reader Studio, and we just thought, what we, you know, there's going to be people that can't afford to do that, or
mm,
and
mm,
so not only that, that was a major uh, influence though in terms of creating a conference here is let's do something here because
mhm.
not everyone's going to be able to jump on a plane and spend the weekend in New York. But also the inspiration we got, and then the people we met at Reader Studio, we just started, just asking them, you want to come to Minnesota in the middle of the winter, because we
Yeah.
decided it would be around Imbolc.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I think too, especially if you are someone who's a little newer to tarot or little like socially shy, those big conferences can feel really scary and
Yeah,
really overwhelming.
yeah,
And you may not have access to some of the bigger teachers. And
that's
and
right.
here's a hint that these smaller conferences will still bring some really big teachers. So I remember one of my first smaller conferences, my first tarot conference, I ended up just randomly in a hotel shuttle, and right next to me was Mary Greer, and we had tacos together. And at the time, I was like,
You were probably like this.
like, oh, I can't, like, I have to be cool, be cool, be cool, be cool. Which you don't get as much opportunity to have that like in the larger conferences. I mean, right? Like they have their own beauty, but like that opportunity is really reserved for the smaller conferences, I think.
Yeah. Or, I mean, those could happen at the big ones, but I think things have changed a lot. I mean, Reader Studio just changed ownership, and that's going to be cool. I hope it goes well. But I'm thinking, not only finances, but also just, and I don't want to, tell people not to travel to conferences, but it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I think it's easier to bring one person to a group of people than a whole group of people to somewhere, like just
Mhm,
climate wise. It's just like,
mhm,
really for me, and the older I get, the more I'm thinking about, okay, what are my, you know,
mhm,
what are my habits? What am I doing here? And
mhm,
also what am I creating as well? And
mhm,
this North Star though is the 15th anniversary, and Melanie and I are just, it's going to be in a new location. It's not a hotel. It's kind of a big art. It's an old building in St. Paul, and on the first floor is architecture stuff. And it's a good friend of mine, Jim, runs that. They're literally revamping the second floor, which is, I forget how many square. It's huge. It's huge, and it was a wood shop place, a woodworking
mhm,
shop. So they're
mhm.
revamping it all, and this is going to be kind of a new meeting place for the Twin Cities, and they really wanted creative spiritual events like sound baths and things like that. So we were such a good fit for them. But it's a lot different than our usual, like but Mel and I were getting to a place where it's like, do we really want to cart a lot of stuff in the middle of the winter, And
Mhm,
it so we had a core group really of 60 people
mhm,
for
mhm,
years, for years. So I don't know how much that will change, because May is a lot different than February. And some of our, attendees are, getting up in age too. So they're taking care of others, or,
mhm.
there's a lot of influences, but just from the registration that's happening now, Melanie and I are like, wow, we don't recognize that name at all. Oh, good. There's going to be a lot of new faces at this one. So that's exciting. New
Yeah.
space, new faces. But I'm hoping a lot of our community still shows up, or at least,
Mhm.
you know, dips a
Oh my
toe.
gosh. I remember the first one in February in Minneapolis, and I was like, I had like a parka, and there was a snowstorm, I remember, and I
That's
was trying to get to the, like, Dunkin' Donuts, and I was it was actually a lot of fun, honestly, for me, because I leave it, so it was like, "Yay, winter wonderland," and then, I go away,
yeah,
but
that's right.
I think it's gonna be beautiful,
Oh,
in May.
May's gonna be wonderful, and
Mhm,
so we switched up a little bit. Before, we would always do the Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the conference, and it's still that, but Friday night now is totally open to the public, and
mhm,
everything Friday night is free. So
mhm,
it's really kind of for those people that are really like, I don't know if I can commit to a whole conference. This at least gives them a taste of the kind of the vibe that we're trying to create, which is
mhm,
kind, curious, and fun, but we're also
mhm.
going to do some work,
Yeah.
this year of Chariot and Tower. In my way, Jenna, if we could just really access the Chariot and Tower more fully instead of theoretically, but
Mm.
like, let's really use the essence of it, because man, things are falling apart and
There
changing and
things
going
are
in different
chariot and tower.
directions.
Things are chariot and tower for real, for
It
real. Yeah,
is. It
yeah.
is.
So
So the
Friday
whole
night
conference is built
yeah.
around that Chariot Tower theme.
Mhm. I love that. I love that. And that's what you've always done that, right? It's, like, always been, like, the theme of working
It's
through
been the
the
theme, but I didn't, like, we might not ask for every workshop to be that, you know what I mean? Like, this one felt like, yeah, no, I really want everyone to kind of focus in on, you know,
Mhm,
what
mhm,
they can do, however that resonates with them. So,
mhm,
but Friday night is just, we call it the 5D lounge night, and that's
mhm,
free from 5 to 9, and we're gonna play tarotchi. There's gonna be some other games set up. I'm gonna just teach a real basic tarot 101 class. Um,
mhm,
from 7 to 8, just an hour, readers you're going to be reading there. Readers are going to be there. We got some really fun vendors. We have the Eye, the Magus. Those are two of our biggest stores in the Twin Cities. Tarot Garden, of course, has 2 tables worth of decks that I'm pretty sure a lot of us have never seen. There's a lot of decks there that the first time I met Jeanette was at Reader Studio. Oh my
Jeanette,
God.
so
She said, do you want to see some decks? It was the night before and I was going to go up into her hotel room and I thought that's a line, you want to see my decks? And yeah, yes, I do. And so we, went
why,
up
yes,
and
I do.
yeah, she put them all on the bed and I was like, what are these? Like I had never seen that kind of variety. It just blew my
Yeah.
mind. It blew
Yes.
my mind.
Yes. And those of you, she runs a tarot garden, which you can find the most obscure decks, the up and coming decks, the collectors decks. You can look at them. Just people who know what they're doing in terms of like selling and making these decks available. And Jeanette is just this beautiful, tall, gorgeous woman who always
Gracious woman.
dresses incredible. Like she's just
Oh,
wonderful person inside and out.
yeah.
Gosh.
And she
Yeah. And then there's gonna be
co-owns it with
readers.
Dan Peltier.
Mhm.
And she's
Mhm.
been at every Northstar, every one.
Everyone.
And
Wow.
she also does a kick-ass history of the cards. So she'll show different versions of the cards through the years, through the centuries. And we'll talk about that. Oh, yeah, she's doing more creative, like she's going to be doing a video that we did show at the cyber thing, but we never really got to talk about it or play with it or do anything with it. We just showed the video and then moved on. So we're going to be doing that. Jeanette's going to show that again, and then we're going to dive into some stuff. And
I want to talk a little bit about like another reason why I love like regional stuff too is because you have such a background in performance and performance art, and I think that really shows up in the ritualistic aspects of your conference specifically, which I
yeah,
think is really cool.
thank you.
Um, and that's why I was like, oh, I've got to do my morphic readings there because I was like, this is going to be an audience who's going to be open to that.
Talk about that. Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah. So I meant to debut in Omega last year, and um, with Rachel being ill and like kind of things were being shuffled around, I made the decision to move in a bit of a different direction because I wasn't sure if it was going to land with all of the changes. So that means that you guys get the US debut of this new technique.
Yay.
Yeah, it's so cool. But basically it's a mashup of do you know family constellations work?
Yeah,
You know,
that's hot right now. I mean,
right. So like where you're moving in the field, the space, you know, like you have people moving in the field, which is just kind of the arena of play. And then they speak usually from a oracular space. So I took kind of that technique a little bit and mashed it up with a living tarot spread technique. So it's essentially a non-hierarchical approach to readings where everybody is the communal reader. It's gonna be fun,
yeah.
and it's gonna blow people's minds how it works, and the cool thing too is that the spread changes, it dances, it's like a dancing spread, it changes with each new position you bring into the table, as it were.
Mm.
So, it's constantly moving, it's evolving as the story's unfolding and the relationships between the cards. I'm super excited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Totally. No, I've been able to really experiment, usually Saturday night. So we'll do the workshops all day and then Saturday night well, when we were at the hotel, actually everybody'd go to dinner and then we would do a slumber party and watch some really cheesy movie and eat popcorn, and maybe we would do a performance of some sort or something small. But this year, I think, we need to dance is what we
Mm,
need. So like I'm
mm,
even putting together a cool playlist. Just Saturday night is to come as your favorite tarot persona, or chariot or tower, or your 5D self, and we're going to have a little variety show so people can sign up if they want to sing or dance or read or whatever they want to do, just as long as it's like under 3 minutes,
mhm,
nothing too long, but, or play a song for us or whatever, just for creativity and just connection and support. Because by Saturday night, we're all pretty chill. Everybody's uh, kind of worn out from all the workshops, for one thing, but everyone's just really cool. And
So what other workshops can people anticipate when they come? What's going on?
well, so there's uh, Sam Lofgren
Uh-huh.
is going to do kind of a meditation about Tower and Chariot. I can tell you some things, but I can't tell you everything because
Okay.
there's big surprises. Yeah, it's all leading up to one thing. But she's doing these really cool meditations, and
Mhm,
that will open up the first one to the group, and the second one you could go to individually if you want to sit. This place is so huge. There's going to be like little sitting room places with couches and stuff. So we're going to
mm,
set up a place where you can go and just groove on her other meditation if you want.
mhm,
Um, Michael Foster always does kind of a hands-on practice session, but he always
mm,
kind of brings in some ideas for you to play with and
mm,
think about, because we want people to feel like they can just read for each other. Like, where do you find a place where you can actually just practice on someone? So we always want
mhm.
to leave a room for that. Um, V of Red Light Readings, she's
Yes,
going
the
to do
keynote, right? The
the
keynote
keynote,
speaker this year?
and she's really, I feel like, bringing in a lot of her beautiful creative coaching ideas, and it's really about my sense of it is that it's really about Chariot and how, like, what she's like, how to find the willpower and courage to be fueled by intuition to make empowered choices, so. But with V, that always goes beyond theory, like she just gets it in your body. She gets it very real, and it's like,
Mhm,
oh, there's on Sunday, we'll have a sound bath to kind of even just get us all in the mood for this workshop that Nell Morningstar is going to do. And that's one I can't really tell you anything about because
okay.
everything's going towards that one.
Mhm,
And then
mhm,
I'm going to do uh, the, uh, a kind of a choosing a card, and then that card denotes what group you go in. And so
mhm.
then different groups will be talking, and then they give their message to the collective. So it's like
Ooh.
yeah, I love this. Actually, I've done this before, but it's just great. And it will be near the end of the conference, which feels really good. Like we all get one major collective reading
Mhm,
about the
mhm.
world, for the world.
Mm,
Because,
mm.
I'll tell you, and this, boy, did this just really affect me. After Reader Studio one, I was just so high after that. It was just like, what? And a taxi, I got a cab to pick me up because I always stayed in New York for a few more days than to play with
Mhm.
friends,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
and to come down. And, to come down in Manhattan, that's pretty, Manhattan itself is kind of a high city. So, and I got in the taxi and he said, well, what was your conference all about? And I said, well, it was about tarot. And he goes, are we going to be okay? Like the
Oh,
world. And I
yeah.
just thought, none of us asked about that. It was just, you know,
Define okay.
yeah, and it planted a seed with me. It's like, well, as a group, what could we create? Like what would be a message? Like I loved Rachel, her whole idea of wisdom readings.
Yes,
Ah, ah,
yes.
You know,
Mm,
I mean,
oh,
I
I
would actually
mean,
lead something like that, but I'm not that confident in it. Like that is, even though
ooh,
it's very simple and open, but man, Rachel was just, mm, that was,
brilliant,
yeah.
brilliant,
Mhm.
brilliant. I'm
That
I'm
opens it
actually
up
gonna
to the
be
collective.
I'm gonna be talking to Mary tonight, um, and recording some sessions because on May 10th we're gonna be doing a walk through the Forest of Souls. Everybody's kind of doing a little something, and so I'm really excited. But
I know, I just
yeah.
got my book today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I just got it, and Carolyn sent me an email, so I gotta get back to you guys
Oh,
as well.
good. Oh,
I
good. She's good to go. Oh,
Okay,
good, good, good. Yeah. Those of you that are tuning in, if you guys wanna tune in, like, we're all gonna be doing stuff to celebrate Rachel's, re-release of A Walk Through the Forest of Souls, May 10th. I'll be doing stuff. Everyone's gonna be doing stuff. If you wanna do stuff, just hashtag A Walk Through the Forest of Souls.
yeah,
And hopefully we will, um be able to really platform this. And her wife Zoe, I mean, they were left with debt from like all of the health challenges, and the more that we can help that, um and it's interesting because A Walk Through the Forest of Souls, Rachel said that that was her least selling book back in the day. And I think it's like people may, I don't know. I don't know if they were ready for that. I mean, she was such a future thinker in many ways.
John Michael Greer said, any book that's not a beginner's book doesn't sell very well. And I do lean that way. I do feel like, well, first of all, beginners are more voracious when it comes to buying something, so that they're not going to want something intermediate or advanced. But I'm telling you, yeah, Walking Through the Forest is not a beginner's book.
She's
No.
like, yeah, she's like, "Oh, so, yeah, like, let's do a reading for God, or who's before God? Let's do a reading on that." Like, how did the world start? Like, she just, it's like breaking everything. And, yeah, oh my God, yeah, like,
And she was really near.
I'm gonna get emotional. I miss her.
Yeah. She was near the end of her life, though, knowing that book would be republished, right? See, that's sweet in itself. That's just
She was rushing to finish her memoir last year because I was like, "You need to write a memoir," and then she had someone help. So, hopefully we'll hear something about that. Uh, I
wow,
haven't
that's
heard anything,
cool.
but I knew she was working on it, and so
Yeah.
but, le let's talk about your brilliance. I mean, you had tarot rituals come out. What was it? Was it last year? Yeah, like, the
Yeah,
years
it
have
was last
started, like,
January.
I was like,
It was.
um
I realized how condensed a book it is. It's not actually an easy read, and I just thought, "Oh, 'cause so I'm gonna kind of, like, tease it out with online courses." Like, it was
Oh.
like, "Wow, that was really," like that, and so
Mm,
I'm just gonna kinda go, and just play
yes.
with it and have real fun with the content, just
Mhm.
really. It was the first time all those notes were ever, like, put together, so, and I thought, this is kinda heavy." So I thought, well, I can play with that. I can do a different form of that.
It's
Um
totally accessible though, like,
Well, thank you.
people for their I loved that it's like you can do a ritual for your birthday or the time of the year, or
Yeah.
it really is beautiful guidance in almost like, I wanna say, like, ministerial care or pastoral care through the context of tarot, which is
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
almost, yeah, if and really, I think my secret desire, if I had a secret desire,
Oh, yes.
I would have a tarot monastery.
A tarot monastery? Oh, sign me up. Can I give you my phone at the when I enter? There's no Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's right. Well, bread and soup. Brr. It's like, go out in the garden.
Yeah,
It's
here's
the
your smock.
it's the Empress garden.
Put the smock on, little hat. Yes. I'm here for that. I'm here for that ASAP.
'cause it's contemplative. It's like I realize this is kind of my love letter to tarot. There's a but that's what I was gonna say was, you kn that I had to really think we're in May now, we're not in February, Nancy, so think outside the box here a little bit, and I went,
Mm.
"Okay, we're gonna have a bonfire or a nice fire after the whole conference, so
Oh,
people
that's
are
right.
way
Someday,
welcome
right?
just to come
Where's the
and
bonfire gonna be? Isn't it
it's Newell Park, and it's not far from our location.
Mm.
It's a park full of oak trees.
Oh,
Full of our oak
beautiful.
trees, and it has a big fire pit that we rented.
Should
And
people
and
bring,
and
like, drums? Should I bring my drum? Should I fly in with my drum or something?
how big
Would that
are your
be
drums? Like, would that be a hassle with the airport?
No, no, like my Bowron, it's the Bowron is, like, more the Irish drum
Oh
that's
god, yeah, bring
flatter.
that. Yeah, bring
Mm.
that.
Mm, mm,
Oh,
mm.
I'm glad you said that because I should tell people to just bring instruments if they have them.
Jonathan says, "The book is a zip file, and the classes will be the unzipping." That's a good
Yeah,
way to put it.
thank you. Yeah, it's like, yep,
Yeah,
right, exactly.
and listen, I have rented a car because I have some other things I'm gonna do on there, so I've got 3 more spots in the car, 3 more people if you're flying in. I can drive us around, so that'll
Yeah,
be good
and
too.
you're gonna be what, at Magus and at the Eye? Are you
No,
gonna
I'm
be
just doing the eyes Saturday afternoon,
okay,
um, and then I go to Llewellyn Monday morning
okay.
for a talk and book signing, and then just to kinda see the HQ of Llewellyn. I haven't seen that. Hopefully, I'll get to
Oh,
see
that's cool.
Mar and, Marcus Ironwood, my 2
Well, and the people there are so lovely. They're really I love the workers there. I love the workers there. They're just down to earth people. Not Alicia, not so much her. She's very Pokemon divine, and I'm not saying that they're all like really normal, but I'm just saying, oh, they're just salt of the earth. So you're gonna feel that when you go.
I
Yeah,
love that the conference has got a lot of hands-on,
yeah,
of all kinds of levels. You're right about the intermediate book stuff. Like, with my book, like I had to add 101 more 101 like elements to make sure to have that audience.
yeah.
Um, but I'm hoping.
I think your book is perfect
Oh,
for
thank you.
somebody just starting. That's who I'd plop that book in their hands. It's like, listen, this is a reader who's been around the rodeo. It's like we just know rope tricks, right? And we also know when we're getting strangled. It's like
Yeah, I've been on a bucking bronco or 2. I've definitely had to run into a barrel. And have a clown save me. Yes, yes, indeed, indeed. And
One of
it's
the things I love
mm,
being about reading as much as you and I do, like we're like that is our bread and butter. So
yep,
it's like, we have to really be pretty serious about the business boundaries of it all.
mhm,
Um, is that I feel like it's made me less of a judgmental person, because
mm,
you can never, you think by the way that person talks or their questions or their demeanor or what you might have like normal Joe. It's like, okay, this is where my impression of them. Oh my God, the bet is off. When the veil's open, the bet is off.
yes,
It's just like you have no idea of what's going to be happening. So you have to be ready for everything.
yeah, yeah, and to add to that, how similar we all really are as
Yeah.
humans with our similar fears and desires and hopes and dreams that we're really not that different in many
Right.
fundamental ways. I know that being a professional reader has really really helped me in my own life as I've watched, patterns of
Mhm.
what is a life when you're afraid to to leap into the unknown, or what is a life when you stay with what's not serving you, and watching how those stories unfold in other lives and using that to inform my own, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
One of my
Yeah.
greatest lessons
Mm.
ever was that I read for a young woman, and I saw an entire timeline open up, a kind of a horrible one, that
Oh.
was exactly the timeline that opened up for me when I was her age.
Oh my God. Wow.
And I just said to her, honestly, I'm not just saying this, but you don't want that mountain path, no, shift right now, girl, because, otherwise that mountain path, I know what that, and she came back about 3 years later.
Mhm.
Here I thought I was real proud of myself from helping somebody, helping somebody. And she came
Right.
back 3 years later and did exactly what she was gonna do anyhow, and it
Mhm.
turned out exactly the way that I saw it happening, with all the same pain and suffering, self-suffering that I put myself through as well.
Right.
And she said, "But this is what I've learned about myself." And I
Right.
just thought, "Okay, that killed that." If someone had warned me
Mhm.
about the greatest, uh, road turn in the road that I was about to make, I still probably would have done exactly what I was gonna do anyhow.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right, right.
So it's not that the reading failed her, but what it did was, in fact, if anything, it kinda strengthened her belief in wisdom or intuition. It's like, "Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Hey, that was, like, prophesized almost down to the minute."
Mhm, mhm.
So if
Yeah.
anything, now she has more faith in not my skills, but in wisdom. It's like,
Mhm,
listen, there are ways, there's patterns that we can see, there's ways that we can connect
mhm.
that
And
are
you can learn
beyond.
it the easy way or the hard way, like,
That's right.
however you need it to be. Marianne, you could be my travel buddy. Come to Minnesota.
Come to
We'll
me to
come hang out,
Georgia.
or I'll come to Scotland. Ugh,
Oh.
I need an excuse, really. Um, I yeah, like, what you're saying is so interesting. So last night I taught, like, a webinar through my local, like, library system online.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And there was, like, almost 300 people signed up, and we had, like, 160 people. It was like, oh, wow, it was so great. Um,
That is
and I
good.
it was amazing. But I asked people, like, when people go, "Well, I don't believe in tarot." Okay, but what does that mean to what is it that you do believe, though? Because you may be working on assumptions that may not even be accurate, you
Yeah.
know? And so I asked people, like, what are some beliefs you have around tarot, or you've heard about it? And, it's incredible to me the sticking power some of this stuff has. Like, "Oh, no one should touch your deck but you." "Oh, you can never buy your own deck. That has to be gifted to you," right?
Yeah.
And these belief sets have such sticking power that even if people have
Yeah.
never touched a tarot deck before, somehow have heard these things, you know? And I think that's really fascinating, because I do think that tarot is kind of undergoing a cultural renaissance, and
Mhm.
we are reexamining some of these stories, um and so I don't know, maybe this is going to take me to a question for you. You've been doing the conference for a while, for a minute, you've been reading for a minute. With the people that are coming in as students and the people that are coming in as clients, are you sensing any of those cultural shifts or changes? Or do you find that some of this older stuff does have more of a sticking component?
I think one of the biggest things I've noticed is that I have to get between the other person and their cell phone. Like, that still has that's the sticking point. that
Mm,
I'm dealing with,
mm,
it's just
mm,
like,
mm, mm.
it's not the authority. It's not,
Yes.
no, don't. And it's hard as a teacher for me to don't look at your cell phones, but I swear to God, I sound old like that, but it's like, that's true. I mean, like this conference, I'm already kind of going, okay, do I set boundaries about cell phone usage?
Mhm.
I mean, checking your phone and hey, we have lives going on out here. So it's like, some people have to check their phones and stuff every once in a while, but I mean, looking up definitions and stuff.
Oh, girl, yes.
And I'm
You
like,
know mhm.
No, no, don't do that.
Mm,
No."
mm.
So that's harder for me to kind of, yeah, we have very strong attachments to our cell phones. That's a
Yes.
whole different aspect of teaching now.
You're saying something really important, and I completely agree with you, and just to let people know who may not know, like, you and I are very similar in that we're both psychic readers and tarot readers, that we're psychic and we read tarot, and that may not be all tarot readers. So we come to tarot from a very intuitive standpoint, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And so, like, that's what I teach. It's like, I'll allow you get exactly one keyword per card, and that's it. That's all you get. And only that, so your anxiety doesn't shut down your intuition, so you're
Yeah,
not freaking out. But with the Google and all of that, there is a shift in how people create relationship with tarot,
yeah,
and it's become more formulaic.
it has been. Yeah, it
Yeah,
has. It is.
where it's like, keyword in slot of spread and then equals answer
Yeah.
in a very linear way, which feels like, "No," like, "No."
And
But
also
mm,
keywords that are kind of coming from, what I'm calling the YouTube language of tarot. Like they've really created a vernacular really of,
yeah.
you know, uh, which is fascinating to me. It's been
Mhm.
fascinating, but it's also, that ain't it, kids. Like that's not the, the set biblical meaning of this any more than I actually look at traditional meanings as that's not the set either. It's like, what, it's a layer, how can
It's
you,
still air. Yeah.
how can you let it be a kind of a alive?
Yeah, and you can have both. So you can kinda toggle back and forth, but,
Yeah,
that's what I was like last night. I was teaching, like, you can read tarot right now, and this is your first time ever looking at it.
yeah,
Just look at the pictures. What do you see?
yeah.
What
What are you really
associations are you creating? What's
Yeah,
sparking up within you and also in your body, like, in that body embodied
mm,
wisdom? Like, trust yourself.
yeah,
Um but, I wanna add another part to that, which is also the expectations of people getting a reading, which is becoming more and more, like I say, it's not analog Google, you
uh-huh,
know, and the expectations of what to divine means, and the idea of, "Oh, well, what's his name? Is it gonna be Monday that I'm gonna meet him? On Tuesday? On Wednesday? On Thursday?" Like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," like, this
yeah,
isn't analog Google. That we must be grateful to whatever the divine gives us. And sometimes that information is wrapped in a riddle. That the universe makes us work for it sometimes, you
yeah,
know? And that's part of it. That's part of the unraveling.
yeah. One of my favorite things remarks as a teacher was, and this is before the internets, but
Mm,
they would look at the card and go, I don't see anything.
mm.
And I said, okay, that's the answer. That's what that
Yeah.
card just told you.
Mm, mhm,
You don't see anything.
mhm. Ask
That's the
again
answer.
later, man.
And for a while there, when I was really, I'm always on fire with tarot anyhow, because it's just opening worlds for me and will continue until the day I drop, I hope. But that there was at one point where I just felt like, God, I feel like all of us should know tarot. And then I remember watching this Jerry Springer show. And this girl was just like, this young gal was just like, I know you're cheating on me. I know you're cheating, And he goes, how do you know that? Jerry asked her, and she goes, because of my cards. And she pulled out her tarot cards, and she was just like riding him, and I just went, okay, no, maybe not the mainstream. Maybe, I was like,
I
oh.
I would pay good money to see this clip. I would pay.
I wonder if it's out there. I never Googled it.
We
Like,
everybody, friends, we are now on a mission.
oh, boy,
We
oh boy.
must find
Yeah, it's
this
like,
Jerry Springer tarot episode.
maybe we'll just stay a small minority that reads,
Oh my goodness. I'm on TikTok, you're on TikTok, and boy, is it a wild ride on TikTok, in with tarot. Like, and actually I kind of called a reader out, and I didn't mean to do it in a bad way, but she's a professional reader. When you say you're professional and you're getting money,
Mhm.
then all bets are off for me as a pro reader, because
Mhm.
to me there's an ethical component.
Right,
She was
that's
she
right.
was she was doing a live, and people were paying her for readings, and she was using a beginner's deck, which is, the one that's like the image is like this little, but it's all keywords all around it.
Oh, yeah.
And you could
Yeah,
tell she was just reading from the words. And I'm like, so I kind of called that out, because that's not tarot reading to me. Especially if
wow.
you're
What
going to
did she
be paid
respond?
for it. She did not. Someone tried to shame me for shaming her, and I was just like, whatever. Once you start making money off of it, then I do feel
Yeah,
I can call it out. But if you're learning or whatever, then of course not. If it's just for you, but I mean, the minimum expectation is that the pro reader be off book, and that's not off book to me. That
right.
means, you got to do a little more work, a little more
Yeah,
work.
that's true. That's and then, and I kind of like just jarred myself again. It's like, I can just fall into a
Mm,
pattern.
yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, this card, then this card, then beep, 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 and then I
Mm,
stop really looking,
mhm.
and I'm off into, oh, certainty land, and that's always
Right.
not a good place to be when you're in tarot. It's like, oh yeah, the minute you think you're certain, it's
Mm.
like, okay,
So
but
what do you that's such a great, that's such a
get
great topic.
get different decks.
Is that how you break it when
Oh
you
yeah,
find that
that
you're
breaks
kinda
me.
in a groove?
Yeah, because I don't
Mm.
know the images, so
Mm.
and also every once in a while, and I don't even know if I'm ever even saying this right after these many years, is it Toth or Thoth?
I've heard Toth, I've heard Thoth.
Toth? I know,
Yeah.
okay. So every once in a while, if I really wanna break myself out of like, I'll just pick that deck up. I don't read up for other people, though. That's just for me. Like, if I get
Mm,
in my own little ruts,
mm,
I'll use that deck because
mm.
it's oof, the energy is very different.
Yeah, I try to I mean, I think the art is beautiful. I've tried to read it, and I was like, "Ah!" I was like,
Oh,
"Okay.
no, I was that
Alright,
way
buddy."
for years until COVID. For some reason, I don't know why, but around COVID, I picked it up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
I
Hmm.
still can't go to Marseille yet, though. And I think that's
Oh,
so I feel like if you really wanna kinda, like, switch yourself up, then switch systems. Don't read
yeah.
everything like Rider Waite.
Right, right, right. Yeah, last year after Tide in May, I really got into charm casting. Like, I have a whole
Yeah,
bowl of them, and
yeah.
I cast the charms over the spread. And so, the charm will land somewhere on the tarot deck as like a layer to the image.
Oh, yeah.
It's so cool.
That
Like,
is neat.
for example, let me just
I
find
love
one.
that stuff.
So,
Hey, throw some charms about Northstar.
oh, I can. I
Yeah,
can. I would
I
have
just
to
even love that
turn
stuff.
on. So, yeah, so for example, Oh, that's so funny. Like, I just picked up, like, the little devil charm. Like one of those.
Not again.
Yeah, and then, like, where he may land, on the card image, like, informs a little bit more about what's going on.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Um, so that's how I've mixed up my, like, getting out of my own kind of pattern, and then, of course, I have my, I wish I could bring this, um, ugh, my mixy matchy decks.
Oh, yeah.
So
Wow.
this is like, cards or where maybe I lost a card, so I don't have a full deck. They'll go in here, but
Yeah.
then I'll have oracles, and I also people have sent me stuff, and I've sent people stuff. There's even like game pieces, like children's game pieces that are in there.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll just pull from this box and then just place them out and give a reading that way. And then maybe throw some charms over it. Just for extra
Yeah.
measure. Um, so some of the comments, like we're seeing, Jonathan said he was teaching Tarot 101, that they need to learn the system and how it works, so when they're reading, they can let that stuff go and let their intuition flow.
Mhm.
Yes, but sometimes we have our students, like, it's like they're clinging to the side of the pool, and we gotta go doing, 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 and get their, like, fingers off and kick them in the middle of the water. You know? Pop their little, like, floaties and, like, pop, pop, pop.
Yeah. I have a great
Ooh,
one for that, where it's like, "Okay, I want you to read the card, but you're not gonna look at it. So just hold the card
that
and
is
tell
a
me."
component in my morphic readings.
Oh,
Let's
yeah,
look at it.
that's woo!
You know what would be, have you ever done this? I just had this idea of, like, having, like, round robin readings, but the reader is blindfolded. You don't know who you're reading for. And
I
you're getting no feedback. You don't know
yeah,
who you're reading for. You don't know so it's almost like with your eyes closed, then you're not getting anxious, and it just has to flow. You just have to trust it. But then I
right.
just thought, well, how would they know what the cards are? Well, maybe that's a layer too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say sometimes I haven't done this with the tarot sandbox that I kind of just started at the eye, but we'll get there eventually, when I have more of a core group but one of the things I would say is no petting. Don't pet them. Like, is that okay? Did that make sense? Is that
Mm,
right? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like, stop petting them.
oh, I gotta do that. Good, thank you for that,
Yeah,
'cause
don't
sometimes
pet.
I do that a little too much. Yeah. 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 I always for me, though, it's always like, is the words that I'm saying landing in the way that I intend?
Mhm.
Which is why I do that less than, like, I'm looking for reassurance or knowing that it's
Right.
correct. Because sometimes, like, if I'm like, "So what did you hear?"
Oh,
And
yeah.
then
That's
they'll say
different.
something completely different than actually what I said. I'm like, wait a minute." Like, you know?
That's why I don't read for family.
Mm, yeah.
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 'Cause you're gonna hear some very weird interpretation of your reading 15 years later, and it's like, "Yes, that's not what I said," but, it's like yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that, like, now that I'm getting really leaning more and more into mediumship, I really
Mhm.
getting a sense of, like, that you as the client or the customer, whoever getting the reading, that you're really listening or looking in a very small chink of, like, what you wanna hear, and if it's outside of that, you don't even get that it's accurate, and,
Right.
like, for example, you'd be like, "They had an azure dress," and they're like, "No, no, no," and then later like, "Well, she loved blue," and you're just like, that was it," but because it wasn't right on the nose, they
Yeah,
didn't identify it and see it for what it was. That's
yeah.
I don't know the phenomenon behind that. It's very interesting.
That kind of cognitive, uh yeah, well, I have a technique at the very beginning, and I think it was just building in the psychic element is I call it the initial image. So before I
Mm,
read for them. I just ask for an initial image. And I realized, oh my God, I always ask in the same place. I always stand at a big country road
Mm-hmm.
and it goes out. And then I just ask, can I have any idea of where they are energetically? Can you show it to me? And then I see them either on the road or they're not on the road and there's one initial image. It was like this dancing bone
Ooh.
woman. And I was
Ooh.
like, wow, what is that? That's cool. And it never made sense to my client or me. Like it was like, we're not sure what that meant, and even when I asked a little bit about it, nothing. And then she had written the fee on a check, and her last name was Skeleton. I was like, are you kidding me? Did you not, but it's like, hey, it's just like connecting the dots. It's like a dream, it's like, where is our unconscious, subconscious, and conscious? They're all like, so sometimes the dots are going to connect. And sometimes the dots are so obvious and we completely miss them.
Yes.
Completely
Yes.
miss them. They're right there.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, Dancy Skeleton. And
I
she's like,
know.
"I don't know either." Like, "That's your last name, girl." Yeah,
Dancing bones.
exactly that. Exactly.
Dancing bones? I don't know. I was like, well,
So
every ancestor in your, it's like.
oh my God, you are so much fun. Listen, you, me, let's do a psychic tarot reading retreat. Let's go to Portugal. What do you say? Let's set it up.
Oh, I don't know. How about Scotland? You want
Scotland too. Hey, Marion, is she still here?
Yeah, really.
Marion.
Portugal, why not? That's actually one of the top 5 places for Americans to be moving these days.
Especially retired single women, actually.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah, I have a good
Mhm.
friend who fits that description and is looking at Portugal.
Mm. Tell her to put the welcome out mat out for the rest of
Yeah,
us.
yeah, get there so we can visit. Well, Jenna, thank you for this. This has been really helpful. And, you initiated this. It was beautiful because I you know, just trying to stay on top of conference things. And I thought, God, it would just be fun just to talk about, especially with Reader Studios changing ownership. That's huge to me. That's huge. That's a legacy, and I'm not saying that the new will be worse or anything. It just will be different. That's for
Mhm.
sure. It's not going to be this. It's not going to be what we had for Reader Studio. And so I just wanted to close that door with honor and respect,
Mm.
and realize that's actually the mother of Northstar. I mean,
Aw.
if it wasn't for Northstar is the daughter of Reader Studio,
Mm.
in a lot of ways.
Hmm. So, do you have any final sharings to entice our friends to maybe come and spend a weekend with us in May, beginning of May?
That it's a cool environment. It's the container is very mindful. So you're going to feel that you can talk when you want to. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. There's no one right way of doing tarot. We're really cool about bringing in very different approaches to
Mm.
tarot. There's not one that's set above the other. And
Mm.
we love mixing our real seasoned readers with beginners. So
Mhm.
it's just this beautiful crock pot. So if you have any curiosity about tarot at all, this would trip your trigger.
Yes, yes. If you're new, do not be nervous. You're in good hands.
That's right.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
much so.
yeah. Oh, thank you so much for coming, and I can't wait to come and see you in
I know,
person.
Jenna. Ding. And it's going to be beautiful this time. So we're not going to be in the Arctic.
Oh my gosh, it was fun last time. It really was fun for me. I had that it was really a lot of fun. I love weather of all kinds. So I was like, Look at all the snow. Wow." Um, Yeah, I will see you soon. And for
All
those of
right.
you tuning in, thanks for hanging out with us today. And
Absolutely.
hopefully we'll see you in Minneapolis in May.
All
The end of
righty.
May. All right. Bye,
Take
guys.
care. Bye.